Good morning, everyone. Let's start off with the House Committee on Financial Services hearing over the GameStop frenzy. Lawmakers grilled leaders of Robinhood and Citadel for more than 5 hours, with the main focus being whether the firms are profiting at the expense of retail investors. Take a look.
How did you misjudge your capital requirements to prevent people from being able to trade during that period in January?
I wouldn't say we misjudged our capital requirements. This was a 1 in 3.5 million occurrence event.
Robinhood seems to have perfected the gamification of trading.
Giving people what they want in a responsible way is what Robinhood is about. We don't consider that gamification. We know that investing is serious.
Do you think we need more legislation as a result of what happened here, or did the system actually work?
I'm not so sure about legislation per se. What I would say is that increased transparency could help.
This is a threat to the future of our financial system, and we got to get to the bottom of it. What steps is your company taking to guard against this? Anything at all?
Congressman, we spend a lot of time at Reddit ensuring the authenticity of our platform. And in this specific case, we did not see any signs of manipulation.
Look, I'm sorry for what happened. I apologize. And I'm not going to say that Robinhood did everything perfect.
Well, joining me now is Bloomberg's Wall Street reporter Sonali Basak and opinion columnist Nir Kaysar. Thank you both of you for joining us. It's great to have you both being here. Sonali, I want to start with you. A long day for everyone in that hearing. Let's begin with Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev, who certainly fielded a lot of frustrating questions regarding Robinhood limiting trading of GameStop shares after being asked for an extra $3 billion in collateral from his clearinghouse. Did Tenev stand by this decision yesterday?
He really did. He defended his business model in a lot of ways. They were able to raise the money quite quickly, but at the end of the day, the fact that he did not have the money on hand for those collateral requirements says a lot, right? I mean, it's a very complicated question when you think of how new Robinhood is and the strains it may feel relative to its competitors, and Tim, just where it gets its money from, right? More than 50% of its revenue comes from payment for order flow. Whereas, for example, for Morgan Stanley, also processes a number of trades through Citadel Securities and other high-frequency traders and does not collect any money from payment for order flow and is obviously a very big bank. So it said a lot about the business model. And really, he did defend the business model and said, at the end of the day, it is better for everybody that more people can trade.
Look, Nir, I want to bring you in here because you kind of make that argument in your column this morning that Robinhood net has been a really good thing for access to financial markets, right?
That's right. I mean, Robinhood has to acknowledge, that what happened was intolerable. If you're in the business of democratizing markets, if that's your mission, you can't have a situation where you turn off, trading for retail investors while their hedge fund nemesis are out there, trading on other platforms. That's not going to work for anyone. And it's certainly not a good look for what you're trying to accomplish. Having said that, I think we have to keep this in perspective. Robinhood is still an upstart in the brokerage world. It's a newcomer. And so it's less well capitalized than its competitors, for sure. And you can look at that and you can say, well, investors shouldn't have traded there. But the truth is, Robinhood, when it came out, it was the first of its kind. I mean, the reason Robinhood exists is because the very smallest investors didn't have an option to invest anywhere else. So Robinhood gave them an option they didn't otherwise have. And this is also a highly unusual event, which Tenev made that point multiple times yesterday. We shouldn't overlook that, because the danger here is making a rule out of an exception. There's a huge spike in trading that really caught Robinhood off guard. As Robinhood gets bigger and capitalized, I suspect this problem will not occur again.
Sonali, what about when it comes to the idea of Robinhood being free to users, right? The idea of payment for order flow, how much money Robinhood made last year from that. This is their business model. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez accused Robinhood of poor execution and lost rebates. What did Tenev say in response, and what exactly does that mean?
Well, it's a tough question here, because this idea of payment for order flow, there is some disclosure on it. There definitely is ways to see how much they're being paid for the trades that they offload to the high-frequency traders by the line. But with that said, when he was asked by multiple folks about multiple representatives about how much that really translated to in terms of gains for his own clients, he did fall short of telling you how much that was. I really think some of these issues could have been mitigated if he could prove to you exactly how much you're gaining when he's able to offload those trades to high frequency traders. It's really hard to know, and because of that, I think that there could be some calls, because this has become so politicized, to either stop the practice or reform it.
That would be a very big deal. I mean, that would completely change Robinhood's business model.
Well, for Robinhood, it's more than 50% of its revenue, right? For Citadel Securities, it's just another cost that you could take away. So, I mean, it is a complicated equation. The other question here, too, is just to what Nir was saying. He stopped trading. He restricted trading in certain names. So at the end of the day, a lot of concerns about how constituents are treated here.
Hey, Nir, even though your column, it's titled "A GameStop hearing was a solution in search of a problem," it is largely critical of the hearing overall. You do say there are some things that Robinhood could do in order to improve its platform. What are those things?
Well, two things broadly. I mean, one is the disclosure needs to be better. And, we should keep in mind that we're dealing with something new here. And Robinhood's not going to be the only player. And so leaving aside Robinhood for 1 second, regulators have a role to step in if they want. And I think they probably should, to say, what are the rules of the road? What should these types of platforms disclose to investors? They should probably disclose the revenue arrangements. They should probably explain to investors why it's not a free service at the end of the day. And those are all things that I think Robinhood and other trading apps that will come should be more forthcoming about. But Robinhood can get in front of this, and they can save themselves, I think, a lot of trouble down the road if they sort of are more forthcoming about the fact that this is a trading platform that you could use for good and you could use it for ill. This is a trading platform that is going to make people money, it's going to lose people money, and to a great extent that can be controlled based on behavior. And so a very simple thing that Robinhood can tell its investors is, look, it's okay to trade with some of your money, but not all of your money. Invest most of your money in the low-cost index fund and trade away with 10 or 20% of it or whatever it is. The problem, of course, is that Robinhood has very little incentive to do that because they make money off of trading, which is why ultimately I think you're going to need regulators to step in and write rules of the road here.
I wanted to add to that, too, because what's interesting about that is Robinhood makes money, they said yesterday, from the bid-ask spreads, the percentage of, the bid-ask spreads of the stocks, which means that the wider the bid-ask spread, there could be more gains for Robinhood. They profit off of more volatility and, riskier trades. That's embedded in the business model inherent in what they said. That was a small part of it, but it was something that was there. And, the thing is, Robinhood has taken such a different track from so many platforms, like Goldman, which has decided to have a more buy and hold strategy, right? They say their clients don't trade that frequently, but some of that is inherent in the platform.
Hey, Nir, let's not forget also that Reddit was a part of this story, too, even though so much of this is going to Robinhood, so much attention focused on Vlad Tenev, Robinhood. You argue in your column that it's not an issue that investors and day traders are talking about and exchanging stock tips and ideas on Reddit. Why is that not an issue?
I mean, I think it's a good thing. If there's any illegality, there's no evidence of that, then obviously we should hold people to account. But the question here is whether people should just be free to talk about markets and trading. And in general, I think the more discussion you have, the more education you have, the more exchange of ideas you have, the better informed investors are going to be. So in general, I think it's a good thing. Now, obviously, you're going to have good ideas alongside bad ideas, but it seems to me there's no way to regulate to put aside the bad ideas without putting aside the good ones. So I think you just have to let the free exchange of ideas go. And this is, to some extent, this is a mingling of social media and finance, which is not going away. It's only going to grow. And so if you say that Reddit has to be responsible for this, then all of a sudden every social media company out there has to be responsible for this. It just strikes me as just practically unworkable and in general unwise, because I think it's a net good for people to discuss these things.
Well, it was great to discuss it with both of you, so thanks so much for taking the time. Bloomberg's Wall Street reporter Sonali Basak and opinion columnist Nir Kaysar.